Hello Internet, if you watch our content regularly, you might have noticed that we are frickin' late. But hey, it wouldn't be a video on The Flash if we weren't, so without any further ado, let's not waste any more time, let's get right into NerdChat Spotlight on all four Flashes. As for what typically happens in comics, histories and stories get retconned. So what the history was originally is not the same as what it is now, and it's been changed multiple times throughout the years. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you the original origin of all of the Flash's beginnings, and then we're going to give you the new 52, the current, most up-to-date version. There's a lot of stuff that did happen in between, retcons and things that happened, but they all end up getting to where they are now, so you're not really going to miss anything by us not telling you about every single history of. So here we go. The first Flash was Jay Garrick. He was made by Gardner Fox and Harry Lampert. The year was 1940, and he was first debuted in Flash Comics #1. That one's easy to remember. Jay was a college student working in his lab late one night when he was taking a smoke break. While taking the break, he accidentally inhaled some hard water vapors. Jay passes out, and the hard water vapors activate a latent meta gene. After waking up in the hospital hours later, he finds that he can now run at superhuman speeds. For a short time, he uses his speed to play college football, which he excels at. After a while, though, he does decide to don a red shirt with a lightning bolt and his father's World War I helmet fitted with wings to look like the Roman god Mercury. And instead of wearing a mask, he would vibrate his face so that people couldn't see him and recognize him in public. Most of Jay's stories are pretty aged. He didn't really have a interesting rogues gallery like other heroes or versions of the Flash. But he did have his own reverse Flash named the Rival, who was a professor named Edward Claris, who recreated the Velocity 9 formula that you'll hear about a lot in comics to grant himself super speed. Jay went on to marry his girlfriend Joan, and his character is typically shown as an older, retired hero, and now acts as a mentor to the current generation of heroes. There's also the fact that he used to be on a completely different Earth than Barry and the other Flashes, and the Earths ended up being merged together, and that's a whole thing. And then the New 52 happened, and he's back on another Earth. But hey, you can watch our video at the end of the month on the multiverse to get a little bit more information on that. Speaking of the New 52, Jay appears in the Earth 2 comic line with a shiny new origin story. Jay comes across the dying Roman god Mercury, who crashes in front of him. Mercury had been held captive on Apocalypse and was now dying. With his dying breath, he passes on his super speed to Jay, turning him into the Flash of Earth 2 with a flashy new costume. The second Flash is Bart Allen, made by Robert Kanigher and Carmine Infantino. Barry debuted in October 1956 in DC Showcase #4, and it was actually the dawn of the Silver Age of comics. In Barry's origin, he was a forensic scientist working at Central City Police Department, with a reputation for being late. One night as Barry was leaving work, lightning struck through the window, knocking Barry into a shelf full of chemicals. The now electrically charged chemicals mutated Barry's body to allow him to now run at superhuman speed. In Barry's world, Jay Garrick is the Flash of a comic book series that Barry read as a child. So when he finally became a superhero himself, he decided to take up the same name. With the help of his girlfriend, Iris West, and her father, Ira West, Barry was able to get his red and yellow costume, along with a ring that he can keep the suit in, using special gases to compress the suit. And then he can shoot it out and change into the Flash whenever he's needed. In the New 52, Barry is still a forensic scientist for the CCPD, but unlike the previous continuity, he is not married to Iris West. He is now dating an officer of the police department named Patty Spivot. He is struck by lightning and doused in chemicals in his lab the same way that he was before. This time, Barry's mother was murdered when he was a child, and his father, Henry Allen, was falsely accused for her murder. Barry became a forensic scientist in the hope of proving his father's innocence. The third Flash is Wally West, created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino. He debuted as Kid Flash in 1959 and as the Flash in 1986. He first showed up in The Flash #110. Wally is the nephew of Iris West. One day, while they were visiting Barry in his lab, a bolt of lightning came through the window, striking Wally into the same chemicals, creating the same unoriginal story that happened to Barry in the first place. And as a result, it turned him into Kid Flash. Though originally Wally donned a smaller version of Barry's costume, he would get his own unique costume over time. And he became a founding member of the Teen Titans. In time, though, Wally would be forced to give up his superhero activities due to a strange disease that caused him to age faster every time that he used his speed. However, during the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Antimatter who tried to destroy the multiverse using an antimatter cannon, Barry sacrificed himself by destroying it, by running around in a circle until it had just been destroyed by its own energy. During that, while Barry was running around, Wally would be struck by a blast of antimatter, which strangely cured his disease. Barry gave his life, though, in this process and was turned into dust, leaving nothing behind but his costume. And Wally, now cured of his problem from before, decided to take up the mantle of the Flash. Wally is the Flash that a lot of people are most familiar with. He was the Flash of the Justice League cartoon series, and he actually is also the fastest Flash, the only one who is actually able to outrun death itself. During the events in the New 52, Wally was actually stuck inside the Speed Force outside of the universe itself. He remembers the world before the New 52, before everything changed, and he recently re-emerged from the Speed Force and is now in the current continuity working alongside the Titans, trying to unravel who was behind the changing of the universe and turning the New 52 into what it is. Bart Allen was the fourth Flash, and he was created by Mark Waid and Mike Wieringo. He debuted in 1994 in Flash 92. Bart Allen was the grandson of Barry Allen, was born in the 30th century. He was suffering from hyper-accelerated metabolism. By the time Bart was 2 years old, he was physically aged to the year of a 12-year-old. Bart was raised in a virtual reality where the simulated world could keep pace with Bart's aging. When it was no longer apparent that the simulation was working, Bart was brought back in time to meet Wally West, the Flash of that time, to see if he could help with Bart's problem. Wally tricked Bart into a race around the world, and the massive burst of speed managed to actually shock Bart's metabolism back to normal. Well, normal for a speedster. Bart started to help out Wally from that point on as Impulse, and Bart proved to be a bit too much for Wally. Since he had grown up in the virtual reality, he had no concept for danger and tended to jump into combat without really thinking. Wally left Bart with Max Mercury, a tired speedster. Bart joined the Teen Titans as Impulse and would go on to become a founding member of the team Young Justice. While on the Young Justice, Bart would develop an ability to make duplicates of himself out of Speed Force energy. During the battle, Bart would duplicate himself, but one of these battles, one of the duplicates was killed. And Bart would start to come to terms with his own mortality, now realizing that maybe he actually can die. Bart would in time go back to the Teen Titans, and almost immediately after his return, he was shot in the leg by Deathstroke. He needed to get a prosthetic knee, but thankfully the knee did not cause any hindrance to his speed powers. But it did cause Bart to take his superhero life more seriously, and he decided to take up the mantle of Kid Flash instead. During the events of Infinite Crisis, in an attempt to stop Superboy Prime, Jay, Wally, and Bart all tried to trap Superboy Prime in the Speed Force. They were successful, but Wally had disappeared, turning into energy, and Bart ended up trapped in an alternate reality for 4 years. During Infinite Crisis, in an attempt to stop Superboy Prime, Jay, Wally, and Bart all worked together in order to trap Superboy Prime into the Speed Force. They were successful, but Wally disappeared into nothing but energy, and Bart was trapped in an alternate reality for 4 years. With the help of the ghosts of Max Mercury and Barry Allen, he was able to escape the Speed Force by absorbing the Speed Force into himself, using Wally's ring and Barry's costume. Once Bart emerged from the Speed Force, he was now older than all of his friends, and missing years of his life and memories. In order to create a new life for himself, he moved to Keystone, and his roommate would develop superpowers. Bart, in possession of Barry's costume, decided to become the fourth Flash in order to stop his roommate from causing any damage. After defeating Griffin, he moved to LA to study forensics, and was even being considered for Justice League membership. Bart's time as the Flash would be brief. During a fight with the Rogues and his evil clone Inertia was using a machine that would drain Speed Force energy from its victims. The machine proved unstable and began unsafely releasing energy. Bart tried to chase after Impulse, but during a panic, the Rogues actually killed Bart. Wally soon after this would return from the Speed Force, and he would avenge his protege by freezing Inertia in time and putting him on display in the Flash Museum while he was still fully conscious but unable to move. That wraps up all the origins, but this leaves us to their powers, which the speedsters do have a lot of. Obviously, they have immense superhuman speed. By tapping into the Speed Force, they are able to travel up to the speed of light and sometimes even faster. They have superhuman agility and stamina, the ability to vibrate their body and phase through solid objects. Possibility of time travel by moving faster than the speed of light, or depending on what continuity you're reading, sometimes other ways than moving that fast. They have supercharged brain activity, which allows them to think faster. They have an accelerated metabolism, which does result in them needing to eat more than most people would in order to maintain their body's, needs. They can create vortexes, and they have a Speed Force aura. The aura there's a funny little thing about the aura. So in the Flash TV show, if you've watched that, you'll know that when Barry runs too fast and that his clothes tend to catch on fire. The Speed Force aura in the comics actually is an aura that surrounds them, and it actually makes them frictionless, so that isn't a problem for them. They use it as a show as an interesting way to give Barry a reason for a need for the costume. And there's more powers, because the comics have been up for a long time, and they keep on being able to do other things, like travel between dimensions and other stuff. But we'll be talking about more stuff like that in other videos for this month, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, thanks for watching that video. If you want more videos like this, you can check out some of the videos that we'll have up over here. If you want to subscribe to our channel and help us out, you can go right here. If you're already subscribed, please check that box below that says the little bell for notifications about anything that comes up. And you can click right here to go check out our Let's Play channel if you want to watch some more of us stuff doing just playing video games. So that's all we got for you. Thank you, and check out some of our other videos this month for more Flash stuff. Bye!
Bye!